How's it going, everybody? Back with another video here today. I'm going to be showing my Nintendo 64 collection on top of just discussing the Nintendo 64 in general, my history with it, and what it's meant to me over the years and stuff like that, especially back when it came out. But this is not my original Nintendo 64. I got the original one in, I think it was November 96. I was a senior in high school. It was supposed to be a Christmas gift, but I was just like, I need it, give it to me, because I was a pain in the ass. But she did, and it was funny because back then you had the standard def big TVs with the huge units, not like the little thin things now. Everybody knows these old TVs. And at that time, didn't use any other consoles with the audio-video cables. The Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the NES, they all had it. The NES even had the option to use them if you had them. Maybe later model NESs, I don't know, but they did. But never did use the RF switch, whatever the thing, TV tuner, whatever it was. So I'm plugging the thing into the TV, and we can hear Mario 64. Put the game in, and can't see it. I'm like, what the hell? So my mom calls the number, and she's like, yeah, it's kind of stupid, if you kind of feel stupid. And like, the guy's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, honestly, this is new TVs. People aren't used to them. All you need to do is flip the TV to like the different input, because I didn't know inputs back then. We didn't know. And I'm like, oh, thanks a lot. And we do the input, and both of us even, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, you see, I think it was running the little demo the games run. Both of our, like, even hers, like, your jaws drop. You're like, holy shit, like, this looks incredible. Like, it just, at the time, it was so mind-boggling just to see that. You were just like, what? Because I did not have a PlayStation. That would have came out here in the U.S. in 95, so a year before. I didn't have it. I saw some games for it, but the Nintendo 64 just hit differently for me. At the time, I was still like, I loved my Genesis and stuff, but I was like, all right, Nintendo. I didn't care for the Saturn either. And, had a lot of good times with it. You can see it's a basic system here. This was for the expansion pack, which is in here. This one I got at a garage sale. This could have been 10, 12 years ago at this point. And it was like, I think it was $20. No, was the system? It was like, I think I got a couple of 360 games. This, and it came with a controller and the connector and the battery pack, power cord, and the AV cable. I think it was 20 for everything, so maybe this was like $15. I forget, whatever it was. But this didn't work. The reset button wasn't. It's a little great, and that still works fine. It was stuck there, so I had to get that little tool you have to get to open these screws. So I ordered one offline. Finally popped it open, fiddled with that, fixed that, and it works perfectly. There's even marks on stuff, but decent design for a system. You got the 4 ports. This is where the power pack went. This is the thing this is like the DD drive that did it actually come out? I don't even know. I don't think it did. It was like a prototype thing. Fantastic system. I have a lot of memories of this. This system holds, I will get to the games in a few minutes. Oh wait, real quickly, here's the one of the weirder controllers you'll ever see. This is the controller I actually got at a garage sale as well. I don't think that one came with a controller when I got it. This I got at a garage sale maybe like 5 years ago for $1. This is not the Nintendo official memory pack, but you save your games on here if they didn't save on the card. Rumble pack that came with Star Fox. And weird controller, right? Looks like some kind of weird thing. You hold it like this, it's fine. You're supposed to realistically hold it like this. I never could. When I played games, I'd hold it like this. This is how I would use it to play Bond and stuff like that. This is how I would hold it. I couldn't do it the other way. It was too uncomfortable for me, but an oddly shaped controller, but I didn't mind it. I don't really mind any controller. I can adapt my play to any controller, this being one, but it is definitely an oddly shaped controller. A lot of memories with it, and especially by early 97, I started to get, like, I used to get panic attacks a lot, but I started to get them bad, and I started to feel weird and stuff in early 97. I was struggling and with that shit, and I remember just this system getting me through a lot of tough mental times because it takes away some of your focus, right? And you're not focusing on it. But one of the games, the first game I will show, is when it first started happening, is Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. I got this, and I did not have a memory card at that point because the games I had up until then, it was like Shadows of the Empire, Mario 64, Wave Race. Might have just been those 3 at that point. It saved on the card. This you need the memory pack for, so I didn't have one at first. I ended up getting one a couple weeks after I got the game, but I'd play the game for a little bit and be like, oh, I can't save it. I don't want to leave it on. Finally, I could. Really cool game, big open areas. It was fun. Gameplay was fun. It was sometimes you get a little lost because they were big open areas. You're like finding keys and stuff to get different areas. There's some platform jumping in there that worked fairly well. But I just overall really liked this game a ton, so I picked it up. Or no, maybe I got it for Christmas. My fiance got it for me a couple of years ago. It's a classic game, though. I'm just going to grab whatever. This is a fairly recent pickup, too. Well, probably like 6 months. World is Not Enough in the blue card. A lot of these Nintendo 64 games came in different color cards. Same thing with the controllers and the systems. They ended up releasing like 6 different colored systems, a bunch of different colored controllers, see-through ones like that controller, neon green, neon, all types. There's a Pokemon yellow one. I think Donkey Kong might have had one 64. This is obviously based on The World Is Not Enough. This is still a solid shooter. It's not as good as GoldenEye, but it is solid for sure, and it just follows the movie and stuff. Pretty good first-person shooting gameplay. An enjoyable title. How many games do I actually have? 9. I do want to get more. I don't have it. I only have one that I had from back then. It's the prize of my collection, my Nintendo 64 collection. Mission Impossible. This is another recent one. Cool game. Follows the movie once again. I rented this back in the day. Never completed it, but it was fun. I remember. I think I got up to the part where he comes down and he can't touch the floor. Remember from the movie, he's doing this stuff and his sweat like drops or something. He's being held up by Jean Reno, Tom Cruise. But it followed the movie. It's pretty fun. You're doing Mission Impossible type stuff. This might have had a black card as well. Star Wars Rogue Squadron, the first in the series. Cool game. You're playing through missions using different ships and stuff like that. You're playing through the original trilogy, I believe. Well, it's definitely not the prequels. Because I don't know when this came out. I think the first prequel might not even been out yet. Phantom Menace might not have been out. It's a fun game, looked pretty good. My personal favorite is the second one, Rogue Leader, and then the Rogue Squadron, Rebel Strike, had on-foot missions. But this one and the second one were strictly flying. Castlevania 64. This game got shit on when it came out. I had it back then. This is obviously not my original copy. I enjoyed it back then. I thought it was cool. You play between two, some guy and some girl. You play between, I forget their names. It was a cool game. You start outside the castle, then you get in there, you're doing stuff. I thought it was good. I think the boss fight, the end boss, was like a giant creature. Maybe it was a dragon type creature, and you were like almost like the desert, I believe, if I can recall correctly from back then. But I wanted to pick it up again because I did enjoy it, and it's not overly expensive. Nintendo 64 can be pricey, but you can get, like, this might have been $20, $25. You can get a lot of decent games, or a lot of really good games for even like $30 or under. This being one of them. I liked it. A lot of people liked, I think it was Legacy of Darkness was the second one they put out on the Nintendo 64. People like that one more. I don't know. They both kind of got shit on, but I enjoyed this one. I don't know. I always did. I was like, really? It's terrible? Everybody says it's terrible? I liked it. Here's a classic. I love this game. ScoobyDoo Classic Creep Capers. My original copy from back in the day. I think I got this in Christmas of 2000 or Christmas of 99. I got this and Majora's Mask. So I don't know if they came out in 99 or they came out in 2000, but that would have been the Christmas that I'd gotten them. This is a cool game. My original copy was this had a black cartridge as well, but this one I got it. I think it was a Video Game Trading Post. $15. Great game. You're playing through Scooby-Doo. It's like the show. You're playing, and this is the way the Genesis version of Scooby-Doo. I think it was called like Mystery something. It was just called Scooby-Doo Mystery. There was one on the Super Nintendo, but that was a platformer, which is a decent game. I have it on Super Nintendo. But the Genesis one was like a point and click game in ScoobyDoo. You're playing through almost like episodes of the show, and it's like that's how a Scooby game should really be. Although the ones like Night of 100 Frights on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox was still a good game, which was a platformer. And the Mystery Mayhem and the Unmasked were decent as well. But it's always at its best when it plays out like a point and click game, like you're playing through episodes of the show. I think there's been a decent amount of them on PC as well. I don't know. I don't have an experience, but I'm pretty sure there was like a bunch of Scooby-Doo type games on the PC. This one, it was fun. You play as Scoob and Shag. You're talking with the rest of them, Fred, Daphne, Velma. There's like, it's a little too short. I think there's 4 actual episodes, and then there's like one where everybody gets captured and you got to save them. And that's short. I think there's 4. There's one in the mountains, the Himalayas, whatever. I think there's one in Hawaii, the Tiki, the Snowman, the Black Knight. I think it's in the first one. Maybe there's only 3 then, or is there a 4th? I can't remember. But you're finding items to do things. You got to eat food to get your health back because they get scared, and you can hide in places and stuff like that. It's actually a really cool game. I have the one. It's the same one, but it's not the same game. It's more of an old school point and click game. On the Game Boy Color, I think it was on. But this is I would pick this up. It's not overly expensive. If you're into old school point and click type adventure games, you're going to like Broken Sword, Police Quest, King's Quest. It's very similar to that. Dreamfall, whatever those other ones are. Wetrix, really cool puzzle game. I love this back when I first had the Nintendo 64. I never owned it. This is another one that I rented a bunch. But I would play it like crazy. And it's a cool game. It starts off with there's like a little platform, I guess you want to call it. Just hanging out kind of in the middle of nothing. And then the water comes down, right? And you got to build, blocks come down. You have to build and keep the water from falling off the edges, right? Because your meter goes up too far, it's over. So you're building things. And then you build extra lakes by separating sections, and you get more points that way. Then bombs will come down and blow holes in the platform, and the water will rush out quickly. But then you got to put another block in there and seal it up. Or you can get ice cubes to freeze the water briefly, and then maybe catch back up, and then little meteors will come and they'll get rid of the water completely as well, which is always good because you don't want really any water, but you don't want it going over the edges as well. It's a really kind of unique puzzle game. I think it was on the Dreamcast also, but it was really cool. If you're into puzzle games, absolutely check this out. I think there's a couple different modes. I can't remember though. Final 2. This one was a garage sale pickup, and this is an interesting one. I'll tell you why. No Mercy, WWF No Mercy. I believe that autograph is Jericho's. I've tried to look this up. Chris Jericho's. I would assume it's a wrestler. I would think. Probably went to a convention or a signing, and they had this. I got this at a G sale. If you're from my other channel, you would have seen Something in the Shadows. It was a garage sale pickup that I got. I wish the games were in there. They were not. But it was Ogre Battle 64 and Paper Mario boxes and manuals. No games. But the boxes and manuals still have a good amount of value. There was a Harvest Moon 64 manual, Mission Impossible manual, ScoobyDoo manual, oddly enough, 2 of the games I do have, and Donkey Kong 64. And then this, the game that was they were in a box. And it was $10 for everything. And I was immediately like, I know this game regularly has like $30 in value, something like that. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, well, the games aren't in there. That sucks. But if I want to sell these manuals or these boxes, or hey, if I ever just decide to buy the games, I don't need, I want them complete, but I wouldn't probably do that. I have them, but I'm going to end up probably selling them. At some point, I still do have them. I should have brought them out for this video. Whatever. It was funny, I was leaving that garage sale, and $10 for that. I sold the Harvest Moon 64 manual, and that sold for like $30. That made my money back. I still have everything else from it. And I was walking out, and 2 people were walking in, and they were into the games, like, oh, wow, those 2. I was like, I wanted to look at them and say, don't worry, the games aren't in here. Still valuable, but if the games are in there, you're looking at almost $400, maybe for Ogre Battle, like maybe $200 to $300 each. But you could literally sell the boxes and manuals for those 2 games for like over $100, if not more. But anyway, I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll sell this. I'm looking it up. on eBay, just because I like to look it up on eBay before I list it, just to see the prices it's sold for or listed for. And then I never go the high end typically. I'll usually go middle or low end when I sell games. That's just how I am. Probably stupid, right? I'm losing money, but that's how I do it, because I want it to sell quick. And I see a couple selling for like $200, $300, $400. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, I got to look this up. Why are some of these? Now, if you see on here, you're not going to be able to see it. But down on here, there's a -1 on the NUS, whatever, the little code or whatever it is. USA-1. Original copies would just have the USA. But apparently this game had some kind of save issue where the saves were getting corrupted and it was ruining people's save files. So people were sending these back to THQ. And they were refunding, or they were giving them a new game, a fresh game with an update. I don't know what they did. But they would send them back with the USA 1, saying that's the newer version or whatever. So all of a sudden this game has more value because it has this little USA-1. And at the time I looked and I'm like, it has the -1 on it. So I don't know. I mean, I'll probably try to sell this at some point. It is a great wrestling game. That's the thing. N64 had great this. WrestleMania 2000, WCW NWO World Tour, and WCW NWO Revenge. That was my favorite. There's one or two other, I think. There was an ECW one too, I believe. And there's a couple others, WWF. But a lot of people point to this one, the two WCW ones. And I think it was WrestleMania 2000 was another one people really liked. But I saw that and I was like, all of a sudden this game's like $300 because it has a little thing on it. And an autograph. I don't know if that hurts the value or not. And the last game, which is the prize of the collection. This is the one I've had since back in the day. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. I did have the box for this, but I ended up selling it. I got this. See, it says on the back here, Property Blockbuster Video. My friend pre-ordered this game from GameStop, and they canceled it. This game, I'm pretty sure, only ended up coming out in Blockbusters to rent, and then they would sell copies when they were done. You know, they weren't renting anymore. They'd sell them. That's where I got it for $30. It has a lot of glitches. I think that maybe they felt like it wasn't fully done, and they couldn't update games and patch them. Because this game is glitch heavy. Like, this is a game where you will get stuck in the architecture in the world. There's a part where on a raft and you get stuck on a rock and the rafts keep popping, you lose. But it's such a good game. My friend and I played this through. We'd swap off. Another friend was in the background giving tips from time to time. It's Indiana Jones. You're finding treasures. You're attacking guys. You're using the whip. You get guns, machetes, different areas. You're diving into shipwrecks. You're in volcanoes. You're going through the jungle. Ships all over the place. It's such a cool game. I think this one involves aliens. The Infernal Machine was like an alien thing at the end. Well before Crystal Skull. The guy they got to do the voice of Indy, he does speak in it. His mouth doesn't move, but you know he sounds like Harrison Ford. It's a pretty good looking game too. It's a really cool game. Like the glitches, I would assume the glitches were the problem. They were just like, this game is too messed up, because there was game breaking glitches in it. Your saves wouldn't get corrupted, but you could have, you forgot to save. You do an hour's worth of gameplay, and you're like, oops. But it's such a great game. It's a little pricey. You could probably find a used copy like this for probably $75. It's such a good game. Pretty decent length. It's fun. Back then we weren't looking at. I mean, there was probably some fake facts on there, but we would always try to figure it out. So sometimes we get stuck for like 2 hours trying to figure something out in the game. But it's so good. Indiana Jones, the Infernal Machine. Love this game still to this day. Oh, it's so good. I played through it a couple of times. And it's fun every time, it really is. And when you know what glitches are going to be a problem, you try to avoid them where you're going to get screwed. But this is a fantastic game. I love it. It's a top game for me of all time. It's the top 5 games for me of all time. But anyway. Yeah, it's just my Nintendo 64 collection and just talking about my kind of a little bit of the history I've had with the Nintendo 64 and stuff, showing the system controller. But yeah, thanks everybody for checking this out, and have a good day.